Stop for a second and listen to me carefully. Did you know there's an emotional strength inside you that you've never realized? A strength that's working right now as you watch this video? I know you might be feeling lost sometimes. I know. There are days when you wake up and already feel a weight in your chest, as if the world is too big for you. I know there are nights when you stare at the ceiling, wondering if you're strong enough to face another day. I know you look at other people on social media and think, why does it seem so easy for them? I know you sometimes feel like you're pretending to be strong, as if at any moment someone will discover that you don't know what you're doing. But I want you to understand something very important. You are completely underestimating your own power. And it's not your fault. We live in a society that taught us to measure strength by the wrong standards. You know that feeling that you're not strong enough? That other people can handle life better than you? That you're too sensitive? That you cry too much? That you worry too much? I have news for you. This is a complete illusion. An illusion created by a world that doesn't understand what true emotional strength is. The great sociologist Zygmunt Bauman once said something that changed my perspective forever. He talked about how we live in a liquid society where everything changes all the time, where relationships are disposable, where people constantly feel insecure and fragile. But you know what Bauman discovered? That it's exactly in this apparent fragility that our greatest strength lies. It's in our capacity to keep loving in a world that teaches us to distrust. It's in our capacity to keep hoping in a world that teaches us to give up. You're here because something inside you knows you're more than you think. Something brought you to this video because you feel there's something in you that hasn't been discovered yet. And you're absolutely right. For years, I studied human behavior, psychology, sociology. I talked to thousands of people who thought they were weak, inadequate, insufficient. And you know what I discovered? That the most emotionally strong people are exactly those who doubt their own strength. Today, I'm going to show you the 10 clearest signs that you're emotionally stronger than you imagine. And these aren't obvious signs, no. These aren't those signs everyone already knows, like you don't give up or you're determined. These are subtle, deep signs that you probably haven't noticed yet. Signs that are happening in your life right now as you watch this video, but that you might be interpreting as weakness. Each of these signs is like a key that will unlock a part of you that was hidden. It's like discovering you had superpowers all along, but nobody taught you to recognize them. And I guarantee you'll recognize yourself in at least 8 of these 10 signs. Actually, I bet you'll recognize yourself in all of them. Because if you made it here, if something brought you to this video, it's because you already demonstrate these signs in your life. But stay until the end, because the 10th sign is the most powerful and most forgotten of all. It's the sign that will make you understand why people gravitate toward you, even when you think you have nothing special. It's the sign that explains why people feel safe around you, why they seek you out when they're going through difficulties. Get ready, because what you're going to discover about yourself in the next few minutes will completely change how you see yourself. It will change how you relate to your own emotions, to your own insecurities. So take a deep breath and let's start this journey of self-discovery together. The first sign that you're emotionally stronger than you think is that you keep waking up every day, even when everything seems to be falling apart. And you might be thinking, but everyone wakes up every day. No, my friend, it's not like that. Do you think it's normal to wake up after a poorly slept night full of worries and still get out of bed? Do you think it's normal to face financial problems, relationship problems, health problems, and still find strength for another day? This isn't normal. This is extraordinary. This is an emotional strength you don't even recognize. Think with me. How many times have you gone through situations that at the time you thought you wouldn't be able to overcome? How many times did you think, this time I won't make it? And you're here. You went through all of that, and you're still standing. Remember when you lost that job you thought was your security. Remember when that relationship ended and you felt like your world had ended. Remember when you received that news that changed everything. You might have cried. You might have gone days without eating properly. You might have felt lost without direction. But you know what you did? You got up. Day after day, you got up. Bauman said that in liquid modernity, where everything is uncertain, where we no longer have the solid structures our grandparents had, the ability to rise again every day is a form of poetic resistance. It's a way of telling the world, I won't give up on myself. You might not realize it, but the people around you see this in you. They feel this energy of someone who doesn't give up, even when you think you're just surviving. They feel that you have an internal strength that inspires them, even if you don't know it. Have you noticed how some people seek you out when they're going through difficulties? It's not a coincidence. It's because they feel you know the way back, that you've been to rock bottom and returned. The second sign is that you feel other people's pain as if it were your own. And I know what you're thinking, but this hurts me. This exhausts me sometimes. Yes, I know. But listen carefully. Your capacity for empathy in an increasingly cold world is a superpower. We live in a time when people are increasingly disconnected, increasingly closed in their own bubbles, increasingly unable to truly feel what the other is going through, but not you. You can look at a person and feel their pain. You can perceive when someone is pretending to be okay. You can capture emotions that people can't even put into words. This can be tiring sometimes, I understand. Sometimes you wish you could turn off this sensitivity. Sometimes you wonder why you care so much when it seems others don't care. But this is exactly your strength. In a society where people are increasingly narcissistic, increasingly focused only on themselves, you can genuinely put yourself in another's place. When someone is suffering and seeks you out, it's not a coincidence. It's not because you're available or because you're convenient. It's because there's something in you that transmits emotional security. People feel that you'll understand, that you won't judge, that you'll embrace them. You've noticed how people open up to you in a way they don't open up to others, how they tell you things they've never told anyone. This happens because they feel your capacity for genuine empathy. And you know what else? This empathy doesn't make you weak. It makes you powerful. Because in a world where people are starving for true connection, you're able to offer exactly that. The third sign is that you constantly question your own decisions. And I know you might think this is insecurity, that this is lack of self-confidence. But actually, this is deep emotional maturity. Think about the people you know who never question anything, who make impulsive decisions and then blame everyone when it goes wrong, who live on autopilot, never stopping to think if they're on the right path. You're not like that. When you make an important decision, you keep thinking, was that the right choice? When you say something that might have hurt someone, you keep wondering, should I have said it differently? This might seem like mental torture sometimes, I know. Sometimes you wish you were one of those people who do things without thinking much. But do you know why you can't? Because you have a developed moral conscience. Bauman talked about the moral responsibility of questioning our choices. He said that in a society where everything is relative, where there are no more absolute certainties, constantly questioning yourself is a sign of integrity. When you stop to think, did I do the right thing, you're exercising a powerful emotional muscle. You're being responsible for your own life, for your own actions, for the impact you cause in the world. Emotionally weak people don't question themselves. They act on impulse and then find 1,000 excuses to justify their mistakes. They blame others, blame circumstances, blame life, not you. You take responsibility for your actions, and this requires immense inner strength. This requires courage, to look inside and admit when you weren't the best version of yourself. The fourth sign is that you can be alone without falling into despair. And this might seem simple, but it's not. In a society addicted to distractions, being able to be with yourself is an extraordinary act of courage. Have you noticed how some people can't go 5 minutes without picking up their phone, without needing something to fill the void, without needing noise, movement, anything that takes them away from the silence of their own mind? You're not like that. You can sit in silence and not despair. You can be alone with your thoughts, even when those thoughts aren't the most pleasant. This is pure strength. It's the ability to confront who you really are without needing to escape. It's the ability to face your fears, your insecurities, your doubts, without needing to anesthetize this with distractions. Of course, sometimes it's uncomfortable. Of course, sometimes you'd rather be busy with anything than facing that whirlwind of emotions that arises when you stop. But you face it. You stay there, present with yourself, processing, feeling, understanding. And this gives you an inner solidity that few people have. People feel this in you, even unconsciously. They perceive that you have inner peace, an emotional stability they'd like to have. That's why they feel calm around you. The fifth sign is that you cry when you need to cry. And you might be thinking, how is this strength? It's strength because in a society that teaches that crying is weakness, especially for men, you have the courage to feel your emotions completely. How many people do you know who swallowed their tears since childhood? Who learned that showing emotion is a sign of weakness? Who built such strong emotional armor that not even they can access what they feel anymore? You're not like that. When emotion comes, you let it come. When sadness squeezes your chest, you don't pretend everything is fine. When longing hurts, you allow it to hurt. Bauman said that liquid modernity tries to teach us to be superficial, not to feel too much, not to get attached. But you feel. You get attached. You allow emotions to pass through you completely, and this is liberating. When you cry, you're processing. You're letting out what needs to come out. You're cleaning your soul in a way that people who repress never manage to do. Emotionally weak people repress until they can't stand it anymore, and then they explode destructively. Or they keep everything stored, creating internal bitterness that contaminates everything around, not you. You have the emotional wisdom to let it flow, to feel completely and then move forward, lighter, cleaner. The sixth sign is that you don't need to be right all the time. You can admit when you're wrong, you can truly apologize, you can recognize that you don't know everything. And this might seem like humiliation to some, but it's genuine power. You know why? Because only those who have truly solid self-esteem can admit flaws without falling apart. Insecure people need to be right all the time because their identity depends on it. When you say, I was wrong, you're not diminishing yourself. You're showing that you're big enough to recognize your limits. You're showing that your ego isn't so fragile that it needs to always be right to stay whole. This generates deep respect in people. They know they can trust someone who doesn't pretend to be perfect, who has the courage to be vulnerable, who has the humility to learn. When you truly apologize, not those empty apologies people give just to get out of trouble, but genuine apologies, where you recognize the impact of your actions, you're demonstrating rare emotional maturity. The seventh sign is that you feel fear, but act anyway. And do you think courage is not feeling fear? It's not. Courage is feeling fear and doing what needs to be done anyway. Every time you're nervous for a presentation and present anyway, every time you're afraid of a difficult conversation and have it anyway, every time you're insecure about a decision, but make it anyway, you're being brave. Fear isn't your enemy. Fear is your advisor. It warns you when something is important, when something has the potential to change your life. And you learn to listen to fear without being commanded by it. Bauman talked about how uncertainty is the only certainty we have in modern life. Everything changes all the time. We no longer have the securities that previous generations had. And you learned to dance with this uncertainty. You learned that fear is just a feeling, not a commander. That you can feel fear and still choose courage. That you can be insecure and still take the next step. The eighth sign is that you can celebrate others' victories without feeling diminished. And in an increasingly competitive society, being able to genuinely rejoice in others' success is an extremely rare emotional strength. When a friend gets that job you were also wanting, can you be happy for them? When someone achieves a goal you're still pursuing, can you congratulate them from the heart? When you see someone living the life you'd like to live, can you feel inspiration instead of envy? If yes, you have powerful emotional generosity. You understood a deep truth that many people never learn. Others' success doesn't diminish your own possibilities. This shows you have enough emotional abundance to share joy. That you don't live in scarcity, thinking that if the other has something good, there's less left for you. People feel this in you. They feel that you genuinely root for them, and this makes them want to root for you too. You create a virtuous circle of mutual support. The ninth sign is that you can say no without feeling too guilty. And establishing boundaries is one of the hardest things that exist, especially for empathetic people like you, because you can feel the other's disappointment when you say no. You can imagine how the person will feel, and this hurts you. You'd like to be able to help everyone, be available to everyone, make everyone happy, but you learned something fundamental, that saying no to some things is saying yes to others that are more important, that your boundaries aren't walls, they're bridges to healthier relationships. When you say no to a commitment that will exhaust you, you're saying yes to your mental health. When you say no to a person who only seeks you when they need something, you're saying yes to more balanced relationships. This radiates an energy that people respect, even if they don't understand it consciously. They perceive that you value yourself, that you're not available at any price. And now we come to the 10th and most powerful sign of all. Get ready, because this one will deeply touch you. This is the sign that explains why you're so special, even when you don't feel like it. The 10th sign is that you continue believing in love, even after being hurt. Even after disappointments, betrayals, losses, painful breakups, you can still look at a person and think, maybe this time will be different. You might think this is naivety, that this is lack of experience, that intelligent people should learn to protect themselves better. But it's not naivety, it's the greatest strength that exists in the world. In an increasingly cynical society, where people build increasingly high emotional walls, where everyone is too smart to surrender, you keep your heart open. Bauman said that love is the last act of resistance against the liquidity of the modern world. When you love, you're creating something solid in a world that insists on being liquid. You're building a bridge when everyone is digging trenches. People feel this in you in an almost magnetic way. They feel that you still believe, that you still have hope, that you're still capable of truly surrendering, and this is revolutionary. Because in a time when everyone is afraid of getting hurt, you have the courage to be vulnerable. In a time when everyone is playing emotional games, you have the courage to be genuine. You are a walking source of hope. And in a time when hope is scarce, you are precious. That's why people gravitate toward you. That's why they feel safe around you. That's why they seek you out when they're lost. Now tell me something. How many of these signs did you recognize in yourself? I'd bet at least 8, wouldn't I? Actually, I'd bet you recognized yourself in all 10. And you know why? Because if you made it here, if you watched this video to the end, it's because you're exactly the type of person who has all these signs. You're exactly the type of person who's always seeking to know yourself better, to understand yourself better. I want you to understand something very important. You're not weak. You were never weak. You were just measuring your strength with the wrong ruler. Society taught you that strength is not crying, but strength is crying when you need to and moving forward. Society taught you that strength is not feeling fear, but strength is feeling fear and acting anyway. Society taught you that strength is not caring about others, but strength is caring and not letting that destroy you. Society taught you that strength is not questioning yourself, but strength is questioning yourself and continuing to grow. True emotional strength isn't about not feeling. It's about feeling everything and continuing to choose love, hope, connection. It's about being vulnerable in a world that teaches you to be hard. It's about being genuine in a society that teaches you to pretend. If you made it here, do something for me. Leave a comment telling me which of these signs impacted you most. Which one made you stop and think, wow, I really do this and I never realized it was strength. I read all the comments and believe me, your stories inspire me as much as I hope this video has inspired you. Your journey matters. Your strength matters. And if this video helped you see your own strength in a new way, share it with someone who also needs to discover how strong they are. Because there are many people out there who, like you, don't recognize their own power. Turn on notifications, because every week I bring content like this to help you discover your true potential. To help you understand that you're much stronger, much more capable, much more special than you imagine. Always remember, you're not just surviving in this world, you're flourishing. And in a society that tries to diminish us, that tries to make us believe we're insignificant, flourishing is a revolutionary act. Your emotional strength is your superpower. It's what makes you unique. It's what makes people remember you, feel good around you, want to be part of your life. Use this strength well. Use it to love yourself more. Use it to love more. Use it to build the kind of life you really want. Because you deserve it. You always deserved it. And remember, in a liquid society, you are solid. In a superficial society, you are deep. In a society that gives up easily, you persist. And that, my friend, makes you unforgettable.